We're going to go to Jervis in Colorado.
Ginnette and Erin, thank you so much for your answers and your information today. I actually, Gary set me up perfectly, so thank you, Gary, because my question has to do specifically with the discomfort that I think predominantly white men feel around this issue. And Ginnette and Erin, you guys both did a good job of illustrating this. But because white men have built the power structures and organizational structures, whether it was ignorant or malicious, they built it for their own comfort and not for the comfort of others. And that does make this an uncomfortable conversation. So my question is, how can we help make these uncomfortable conversations something that people want to lean into instead of feeling threatened by? Because discomfort, we all know, everybody that's here on TCC knows discomfort is not a bad thing. We know that progress is on the other side of discomfort. But how do we get to a point where we're starting to embrace that as opposed to feeling like it's a constant threat?
Oh, I have opinions on this. So I think so often, you're right? So often we're expecting people to jump into these conversations that are uncomfortable, and we haven't built any foundation of trust. People don't believe that they will be, that people assume positive intent. And so there's all this fear wrapped up in conversations. And then on the other side, you have people who feel like, well, I come to work uncomfortable every day. So what, that you feel uncomfortable? And so it's very highly charged. Organizations have to build a foundation of trust. If you can't have uncomfortable conversations about work, then you are not going to have uncomfortable conversations about DEI. Like, it's just not going to happen. So how do you build that trust? I mean, it's not easy. It's not overnight. It's consistently having conversations where people understand that there was no negative consequence to me actually saying what I wanted to say, setting up spaces where people can give honest feedback and people just listen and hear it and respond with empathy when appropriate. And so this work and this foundation has to be built before you can honestly expect people to have these honest and difficult conversations. And, I don't know, it's not an overnight thing. It's a long process, but maybe Ginnette has ideas on how to get there.
No, I think it's a really amazing point, because it is actually a thing that's on a lot of people's minds, but again, they don't actually even feel that comfortable to kind of express it. I cannot tell you how many of my own white male friends, particularly in leadership roles, have kind of at some point or other said, I'm actually a little bit uncomfortable about, I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I think that's kind of where it sort of starts, right? Is that I think if we're all coming at these conversations with, those right positive intentions, then there is no real wrong thing to say, right? Because the intent is there. But I really think the foundation for a lot of this is just honest, transparent conversations where we're getting to know, people, individuals on that real kind of human level, and kind of understanding sort of differences and different perspectives. And I don't think this just also has to happen within the workplace. So again, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, all your whole social time is spent at the country club with people who look and think like you, right? How else can you just diversify your just your circle of influence in general, and just kind of get curious? There's so many external mentoring opportunities available for people from disadvantaged backgrounds, where the mentor can end up learning so much more than the mentee. Like, there's opportunities, I think, for us to just like really broaden our kind of horizons, and I think those are all good kind of starting points. But I think for organizations too, is just kind of not being you are where you are, right? Like, some companies are not far enough sort of forward in it, with these initiatives, and it's almost become a point of defense for them, right? So they don't want to say we're stuck, or we haven't made as much progress. I think just open, honest, transparent is kind of the way to go. There's nothing, I think, to be kind of embarrassed about in terms of these conversations. Like, this is what's going to make our society and our organizations better.